Greetings and welcome to the lesson, which is ethics and regulation. The subject is corporate governance and ethics, and we are on the topic ethical behavior. Today we focus on ethics versus regulation. And these two are both mechanisms that guide behavior, but they operate in different ways and have distinct sources of authority. Now, I've said the two are both mechanisms that guide behavior, but they are distinct in different ways, and that is what you want to study today. Ethics versus versus regulation. Now, the first distinction is on the basis of definition. 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 Now, ethics refers to a set of moral principles or values that guide behavior. Ethics Ethics refers to a set of principles and values that guide human behavior. That guide human behavior. That is, the ethics helps determine what is right or wrong, what is bad or good. And these principles can be derived from personal beliefs, from cultural norms, from religious teachings, or philosophical traditions. Whereas law or regulation, on the other hand, are rules or laws enacted by a governing authority. Regulation are rules or laws that are enacted by a governing authority. So you see the difference? Ethics. Ethics refers to a set of principles and values that guide behavior. They guide human behavior. They tell us what is right or what is wrong, and they are derived from philosophical teachings, religious teachings, personal beliefs, and so on. So that is one difference. The second difference is on the basis of nature. The nature. Ethics are voluntary and rely on individuals to internalize and uphold them. So, ethics are voluntary. No individual is under obligation to be ethical. There are individuals who totally disregard uh, ethical behavior. All right. So, ethics are voluntary and they rely on individuals or organizations to internalize them. They rely on individuals or organizations to internalize them. They often go beyond the minimum requirements that are set by laws or regulations, whereas regulations are mandatory. Regulations are mandatory. Ethics are voluntary. Regulations are mandatory. Regulations are mandatory. You understand? Regulations are mandatory and apply to everyone within their jurisdiction. They apply to everyone within their jurisdiction, and they set minimum standards of conduct and provide a framework for resolving disputes. So regulations are mandatory, but ethics are voluntary, relying on individuals, organizations to internalize them. The third distinction is on the basis of focus. Focus. Ethics emphasize personal responsibility. Ethics emphasize personal responsibility, integrity. Ethics emphasize personal responsibility, integrity, fairness, respect to others, and so on. They consider the broader impact of actions on individuals and society, whereas regulations focus on preventing harm. Regulations focus on preventing harm. Regulations focus on preventing harm. They focus on preventing harm, maintaining order, protecting public interest, maintaining order, protecting public interest, protecting, they focus on protecting public interest. You see, the focus is different. This one emphasizes personal responsibility, like integrity, fairness, respect to others, and so on. But regulations focus on preventing harm, maintaining order, protecting public interest, etc. Then another distinction is based on that is definition, nature, focus. Then number 4 is enforcement. We can distinguish ethics and regulation on the basis of enforcement. Ethical violations may lead to social consequences such as loss of reputation. Ethical violations may lead to social consequences. Ethical violations may lead to social consequences such as loss of reputation, e.g., loss of reputation. Whereas regulatory violations can lead to legal consequences such as fines, penalties, or even imprisonment. Regulatory violations may lead to legal actions such as fines, imprisonment. When you violate regulations, that can lead to legal actions such as fines, or penalties or even imprisonment, can lead to legal consequences. Here, ethical violations only lead to social consequences such as loss of reputation, loss of relationships, loss of trust, and so on. That is enforcement. 5, we can give a few examples of ethics, a few examples of ethics, and a few examples of regulations. Ethics include things like honesty, fairness, respect, honesty, fairness, respect, and this is respect for diversity. It may include things like environmental stewardship, environmental stewardship, etc. Regulations, on the other hand, examples of regulations, we have traffic laws, environmental regulations, traffic laws. You have so many kinds of regulations. We have uh, financial regulations, workplace regulations, workplace financial regulations, and so on. So ethics and regulations can be categorized on the basis of definition, nature, focus, enforcement, and examples. But these two candidates interplay. There is interplay between ethics and regulations. Ethics and regulations often complement each other. Regulations can codify ethical principles into enforceable laws, while ethics can guide behavior beyond the minimum requirement of law. However, the two can also conflict, especially when ethical considerations go beyond the scope of existing regulations or laws. The two can conflict. You understand? For example, regulations may set limits on pollution emissions, but ethical companies may go beyond the requirement by adopting even stricter standards or by investing in sustainable practices. On the other hand, a company might comply with the environmental regulations but still engage in unethical practices like exploiting employees, exploiting workers, and so on. So the two can also conflict. But generally, both ethics and regulations play a crucial role in guiding behavior and ensuring social order. And while regulations provide a legal framework for preventing harm and protecting uh, public interest and maintaining public order, right? Ethics promote personal responsibility and moral conduct that goes beyond legal compliance. And understanding the interplay between the two um, is essential for individuals and also for organizations to navigate the complex ethical dilemmas and make responsible decisions. So that's all as for ethics and regulations. Here are some questions for your assignment. 1. What is the relationship between ethics and regulations in the business environment? 2. Can regulations alone ensure ethical conduct, or is something more required? 3. What are the potential limitations of relying solely on regulations to promote ethical behavior? 4. Provide examples of ethical actions that go beyond what is mandated by regulations. In our next lesson, we will tackle the next subtopic, which is ethics and corporate governance. Bye.